everybody, this is Tiziano and I'm here at the ArduPilot booth at Interdrone 2018 and I'm here with CraigElder. So you don't even need too many introductions. I mean, Craig has been around since the beginning.
Almost since the beginning. I'm the community manager for ArduPilot. I've been with ArduPilot since 2011. Was former director of engineering for 3D Robotics, and we grew ArduPilot, grew 3DR, and now we're out on our own, and we continue to grow.
You've been in the drone industry since the beginning, since when it started. So you saw the good, the bad, and the ugly of all these years. And so where do you think the industry is right now? Where do you think that the drone industry is going to go in the next few years?
Yeah, I've been in the robotics industry for my whole career,
Yeah.
just coming up on 30 years. We've gone from in the robotic industry from lots of commercial applications, lots of esoteric applications. Now we see commercial applications wanting to be done using autonomous aircraft. And the technology is coming into its own, where you can actually go out and do what people want to do reliably. You can conduct the kinds of surveys that people want to have and gather good data and take that data and make good information products out of it. I think it's been a long time coming. I think there were a few years ago there was a lot of hype that never really materialized in a lot of cases. We have a lot of companies that use ArduPilots in their vehicles. Some of them are very successful, some of them are not so successful. The beauty of ArduPilot is it's very versatile in terms of the kinds of vehicles that it'll operate. And
that jumps me to the next question, that is, where is ArduPilot right now? And where do you think it's going to go in the next? It's going to evolve into
it's going to continue to grow. We continue to grow the capabilities of the control system. We have a very good partnership program with companies who are using ArduPilot. Last year we had 29 companies. This year I think we're at 45 companies that are involved with the development of the AutoPilot, and they're the ones who are driving the feature requests and the requirements for what the AutoPilot is going to be capable of doing. And they're the ones who are driving the direction that the AutoPilot is taking. And really it's the AutoPilot ecosystem. It's the vehicle control system, it's the ground control system, and everything in between. Some people want to be able to do autonomous roof surveys. Some people want to do turbine surveys. It's all about gathering good data.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that is the great flexibility of this project that had demonstrated during the year that it can actually be applied to a variety of vehicles that is unprecedented now, from rovers to multi-rotor to helicopter to planes to VTOLs to I don't know, flying horses. The next time,
sure.
I mean, whatever. It really looks like is. Plus,
and I really think the quad plane VTOL aircraft is really starting to come into its own as well.
It is.
That
really
solves the problem of the landing and takeoff space requirements of a fixed wing aircraft versus the power requirements of a multi-rotor.
Yeah. I really like the new VTOL approach. It actually is not new at all. It's an ancient design, but it's been brought back from.
I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, you would put two autopilots in, one that did VTOL, or one that did the multi-rotor part, one that did the fixed wing part.
Yeah, that was our approach when we were back in Italy with Lorenzo. Hi, Lorenzo. And
now it's one autopilot, and
just fantastic.
The transitions are
seamless. Yeah, I saw that. Plus, there are all the advantage of testing everything on a software in the loop before flying, and this is totally. I mean, it has a great value. Most of it, we use software in the loop like daily for planning our missions and testing that whether everything is fine, whether the flight time is actually right. It's incredible. Plus, I'm a big developer on the companion PC and testing on the field where you have people shouting at you, and there is this pressure of the vehicle that is hovering just a few meters above you, and too many pressure. So you bring it in the lab. You turn the safety loop on, and you relax. Drink your coffee, and you write your code.
Yeah, the simulation is really important when it comes to developing new features and looking for issues and in improving things. And it's a lot easier to do simulation than it is to do real crashes.
Oh yeah.
And you touch on the companion computer. That's really the real business case for using Autopilot is that the open source part is in the Autopilot itself, and then the proprietary features that a company wants to have, they can put in the companion computer. That's where you have your machine vision or your really good path planning that takes place, and you have the stability and the capability of the Autopilot, and companies can tailor what they're doing in the companion computer for their specific application and their specific approach to how to solve the survey problems or the infrastructure inspection problems that they're trying to accomplish.
But yeah, that's right. I mean, you can bring your IP into the companion. You write your software, plus you have the ability to deactivate the companion, and knowing that unless you disarm, you wouldn't crash. Or unless you command the system to fly against the wall, you wouldn't crash. You can rely on the fact that black box has been developed along how many years?
It's coming up on 10 years now.
10 years?
Yeah.
And it's been tested by thousands and thousands of people. Most of them are engineers working on real time. So they have. There's this misconception of, hey, it's open source, so it should be not good. Sometimes I heard about that. It's open source, so it shouldn't be. It must not be good. Actually, there are.
But it's so bizarre because everybody trusts open source for their banking, and every secure transaction that takes place on the planet is Linux.
Yeah, exactly.
And so now you have something similar that's flying the aircraft.
But this is a really big misconception.
Yes.
Open source is really the key that pushed this industry in these years. We wouldn't be here sitting here in Las Vegas if it wasn't for open source in general. No, general speaking, Autopilot is one of the open source projects, one of the most successful, widely used all over the world, developed by people from all over the world that contributed in every way possible. I contributed with my video about coding on the companion PC and trying promoting the culture of giving back as much as possible. People are shy to mention what Autopilot they are running their business with. Yeah. Even though you see there is a here on the top of the vehicle, or you can understand that you have been using Autopilot, they don't tell that. Yeah. They say, we've been using this, but we're trying and doing Autopilot. Why?
It's back to the misconceptions and concerns about open source, and people want to be able to say that they've developed their own Autopilot as if that's some sort of accomplishment. But the reality is we commoditize the Autopilot, and
to be able to write an Autopilot, you have to be able to understand the hardware perfectly. You have to understand guidance and control perfectly, filtering perfecly.
Yeah, unless your business is designing and selling Autopilots.
Yeah, of course.
Then there's not a lot of point in designing and your own Autopilot when you can go out and buy one.
Yeah,
it essentially is a price point, and autopilot prices are across the spectrum.
Yes.
And if you can find an autopilot that will fly your aircraft and allow you to do the mission that you want to do, you might as well buy the most economical one and the most reliable one.
Wouldn't you expect that autopilot talking, we're gonna go through the path that smartphone went during the years? Like, we went from a lot of manufacturers, each of them with a proprietary software running on that with totally incompatible applications, and then we went to Android.
Yep.
So Android leveled everything up, and actually, rather than lowering the business for everybody, actually it raised the business because there's more people know that they can change mobile phone, and and so the business went to the app.
Yep.
Where the business is writing app for the phone, so writing app for the drones.
Yeah.
That might be something we're going to.
That may happen. Certainly, there are companies that have tried to do that with survey type A versus survey type B, or that would be the next level of commoditizing this kind of capability. At the moment, I think it's the place to store that kind of path planning is still in the companion computer, not necessarily in the autopilot itself. You really want to be able to tell the autopilot what you want it to do and have the computer vision system or the planning system that's tailored for a particular operator.
Yes. No,
that kind of work.
I totally agree. I mean, you have to stick with you on the companion as much as possible.
Right, and that's generally, people have an understanding of how they want to do a survey. They don't, or what they want to get out of a survey. They don't necessarily have the expertise in the autopilot itself, and why should they? So they can write an application that interfaces to the autopilot. The two of them remain isolated, as you say. If the application fails, the autopilot doesn't fail.
Exactly.
The fail-safes take over, get the aircraft back to the ground safely, and
you come back safely.
You have this independence between them, so that the application doesn't mess with the operation of the aircraft.
Okay, I mean, I think that's already. I think we could talk for hours, but I think that the video is gonna be too long for anybody to watch it. So all right, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.